Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Season 2 of the League of Unextraordinary Gentlemen.
In a time where all podcasts are the same, two guys have decided that enough is enough. This is the League of Unextraordinary Gentlemen.
League of Unextraordinary Gentlemen? Or man, what is it? Had some wild comedy shows this weekend. Lost Stefan. Haven't seen him since, so I guess I'm on my own here. Me and producer Shawn. So we have some good updates for you this week. So recently, went to an Orioles game. First game of the season. Took the girls. It was a fantastic time. Loved getting back in the stadium. Camden Yards, always a good place. Even when it's pouring down rain. It was raining its ass off. As soon as we sat down. So I went to concessions, Shawn, and was like, gonna get a beer, get some food. And it was just loud, a lot going on. And I usually take cash because that's just what I like to use at the fucking stadium. Makes sense. And I walk up to the counter and I'm opening my wallet and the guy mumbles something to me. He just mumbles something. I could see them looking at the cash and he moves a cup and I see him kind of like shake the cup like this and set it down, but he was looking real creepy and I was like, I already started piecing together. I was like, he's going to pocket this cash somehow. And I ordered 3 beers and I don't know, some food. And he mumbled something, but he was like, just put $40 in the cup, basically. And I was like, all right. And I did the math real quick. I was like, all right, I'm getting a little bit of a deal here.
Yeah, it's definitely a deal. That's a deal at the park.
So I shoved 2 20s in there and he turned around and he got the drinks or whatever and he came back over and he kind of took the cup and did a little spinny move and stuck it in his pocket and came over and he's like, by the way, he goes, I'm not going to open this third beer. You got to put this in your pocket because I can only serve you 2 at a time. So I'm like making out like a bandit here and it's a big win-win. And, I should care, but I don't. Like, the guy was running a hustle. As we were there longer, I was like, oh, it's all cashless here.
Yeah.
And he saw that I was like getting ready to pay with cash and totally, he didn't miss a beat. He was on it.
Yeah, he's been doing that since opening day.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if he's been there multiple seasons because this hustle he had it down. So, I don't remember the name of the vendor we were at, or I would suggest go there and flash a couple 20s and you might get a special deal. It's bizarre. It was bizarre. But yeah, my daughters had a good time. Speaking of my daughters, my brother-in-law had the girls separately, or not separately, solo recently. And we're just hanging out, drinking some beers, watching the kids dad style. And they pulled this. My daughter runs out. She's got this giant doll, and it's called Rainbow High Doll. And I look at my brother-in-law. I was like, "What in the hell is that?" And he's like, "I don't even know what to say." Other than
sounds creepy.
I was like, so what's with the sex doll? Is that your sex doll? Like, what's with the sex doll? He was like, his daughter had like busted her chin open, so she had to get like, I don't know, a whole bunch of stitches. And he made the mistake of saying, when you get through this, you get whatever you want. That was what she wanted. And he couldn't back down. And
what is this thing called?
It's called a Rainbow High Doll. And it is a doll, like very large doll. It could be a sex doll, and it is dressed like a hooker. It's got thong underwear. It's over the top. And they're like fighting over this thing, and I'm like, I don't really feel comfortable about this, but I'm also trying not to care too much because why go against the grain? And he said, yeah, it was interesting. I was like, what was the process like buying this? And he was like, oh, that was interesting. I set it up on the counter and I said, 1 inappropriately dressed doll, please.
Where do you buy such a thing?
I think you got it at Target.
Of course.
Yeah. Yep. So, men, if you're out there and you want to buy a gift for your little girl, I don't recommend the Rainbow High Doll. If you hear that in your house, Run like the plague. Unless you want it for yourself, because it could work. Could work. So, Shawn's, God knows what he's doing with this thing.
I'm getting one.
Done. He's on Target, onlinetarget.com already. That's not a sponsor. So, Shawn, you just got back from a vacation.
If you want to call it that, yeah. My best friend is in medical school in Antigua at a school called AUA. Don't know what it stands for. I was expecting a full-on resort experience and didn't get that. Got a house with no air conditioning, no hot water.
Wait, was this house or you rented a place?
No, so he lives there.
Oh, this is his
Yeah,
residence.
this is where he lives while he attends medical school in Antigua. Look at his house. Let me show you a picture.
What kind of a medical degree is he getting?
So I've always asked that, but he's a bright kid, and I know he studies his ass off. Here, let me show you a picture of the house.
Tell you what, I want my doctor having gotten their degree from Antigua. You can put that on the back screen there behind us. So
that's the house. So on the outside,
look bad.
it's nice.
Yeah.
Inside, pretty nice. Just no AC, no hot water. So like, cold showers were nice, pretty much.
Well, yeah, it's hotter than hell.
Didn't complain.
Aren't
but
you near the equator down there?
below?
You're below it. Oh,
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
wow. You're way
Because it's
down
the farthest Caribbean island that's not
Before-
like Aruba.
there. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, the roads are all really sketchy. You ever see one of those movies where you pull up to a four-way stop and cars are just going left and right?
Yeah, there's no rules.
I mean, no rules at all.
Right.
No rules. Food was majority, I don't know that word, but
Majority.
horrendous.
Yeah.
And I'm a food guy, so I wanted to try the whole cooked fish. I wanted to try the shawarma and all this, and it all gave me the shits.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
But we did visit a beach bar, tiki bar out in the water. You could take a little boat to it. I decided to swim because I wanted the full experience,
Yeah.
which was great. There was a pirate-esque bartender there that was very fond of me, and I loved her.
What was his name?
His name was Emma.
Emma. Oh, wow. Man.
Very good rum punch.
Nice.
Solid rum punch.
Now, did you have to swim back all liquored up?
No, I decided to use the little
The boat,
dinghy.
the dinghy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on a casting couch right now.
Well, if that's what you want it to be, we can dim these
Man.
lights.
Just waiting for the nod to take my clothes off. It's getting hot in here. Is that the producer?
Yeah, he's coming. No, that's your counterpart.
Oh man, that's the coworker there. Oh wow.
But yeah, all in all, the
Big
trip
gentleman.
was the trip was good. Food was okay. I like to experience things. I guess I was looking for a vacation. It wasn't really much of that, but I got to see my buddy who I haven't seen in probably 6 months or so. So
Now was he busy
It was good.
studying or
So we timed it up. He had a test on the 10th, which was Tuesday. I came in on the 12th.
all right.
So I kind of caught him in a new unit, so he didn't need to study yet. So we timed that up kind of good. But what really sucked was, I guess their busy time is the winter. So a lot of the tourist stuff, a lot of the resorts, a lot of the excursions were like,
They weren't happening.
they weren't happening, or you had to pay out the ass because you couldn't get a full boat of people to go swim with
You
the
basically had to
stingrays.
pay yeah, you covered the bill.
So we didn't do that. We just drank and sat on the beach.
Well, I mean, there's
You know.
definitely worse things that you could do on a trip.
Yeah. It was basically us, couple college kids, and the old couples at Sandals.
There was no what was that in Jamaica? Hedonism. There's no hedonism there. It's like a nudist colony.
There is that. That wasn't the beach we were at, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are beaches there where you can go fully naked or
Fully
whatever.
naked.
I mean, I'm sure you could probably have done it at the beach we were at and nobody would say anything. People were doing whatever they wanted, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. No rules. That
Yeah.
reminds me, I went to the Bahamas one time and we got chased out by a hurricane. And the place we were
Love the
staying,
Bahamas.
the place we were staying was like a private island, and they were using us as like their drill for like if they had actual guests there. So they were like, all right, we're going to take this boat to this island, and then we're going to get to this island, and we're going to fly off of this airstrip. And so we're taking this boat, and we get to this island, and we get out, and the guy's looking for Maurice, who's driving us to the airport. and he's asking around, and everybody's like, oh, he's not here, but his truck is right there. And it was this like just piece of shit, like Toyota, Datsun, whatever. Like it was all rusted out, and we're like, and the guy goes, all right, and the keys were right in it. I mean, where are you going to go? You're on a tiny little fucking island, so it's not like you could steal a truck and get very far.
Yeah.
So we pile all of our shit in the back, and we all crawl in the back, and we're driving down this dirt road. It's all potholy, like you said.
Yep.
Roads are absolute shit.
Terrible.
And we're just driving, just getting the shit beat out of us. And we pull up to this paved road, and we're like, cool. And he pulls up, and he stops, and the driver sticks his head out. He looks up, and we're like, what the fuck? And he takes off and drives across. That's the fucking landing strip. Like, that's the airfield. Because we're driving across the airstrip over to the, I guess you'd call it the airport. It was a little shack.
Yeah.
And there was like a couple of little small planes there. And then we sat there. I was like, oh, that's a nice jet we're going to get taken out of here. Oh, no, that wasn't our plane. Our plane hadn't gotten there yet. Our plane came in, and the one engine was like sputtering and smoking, and it was scary. It was scary. But
Sounds scary.
Yeah, it was the whole driving on shitty roads and driving across the airfield was interesting. So that's good. We're glad you're back in the saddle here.
Yeah.
We had a couple of shows this weekend. We had a doubleheader. We had a show at Roadie Joe's in Salisbury, and then a show at the Cambridge Elks Club. They both went off with a hit, without a hitch. We sold out Roadies. We did not sell out the Cambridge Elks. Got a little kinks, but we're working those out. And they want to have us back. So, we're going to take another swing at the Cambridge Elks and try and knock that one out of the park. It was a good time. I don't know, Stefan's not here, but he's probably still in some field out there on the Eastern Shore. Otherwise, he might be able to give us a good story. But yeah, we have our next show coming up is Comedy Mania, May 21st. At Havre de Grace, the State Theater. Tickets are available at bigtimeincomedy.com. So this is a fun story. So Stefan and I decided we were going to upgrade our cell phones, our business equipment recently. I was like, we could get money for these phones. We could, kind of recoup some of our expenses on these and turn them into new equipment. It's like a car. You got to roll it over while it's still worth something. So we did that, went through it. My brother-in-law with a creepy doll, he bought Stefan's phone from us. And then I still have mine. So if anybody's interested in an iPhone 11 Pro Max, just hit me up on Facebook. Thought I had a buyer this week. I got hit by a bunch, and, they all look a little skeptical. And this person hit me up here. I'm going to do a little plug for this amazing human being. And my rule was I'm going to do a cash sale. I want to have to do the handoff, like you hand me cash, I hand you the phone. You can look at the phone, you can confirm that it works, etc. And we're good to go. And this person was like, oh no, like I was like, look, this is what I'm planning to do. So unless you're willing to Venmo me the money and you're going to trust me, then this isn't going to go any further. Like, you're just going to have to Venmo to me and you're going to have to pay for shipping. Like, that's what's going to happen. And they were like, sure. So it was like at the end of the week, go through the weekend. I was like, look, I got too much going on this weekend. Can't deal with it. So yesterday they're hitting me up and they're like, hey, they're in New York. And they're like, hey, are you still ready to sell this phone? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yes, go ahead and send me the Venmo. Gave them my information. They were like, I need your email because it's my business account or something. I was like, okay. So I give them my email, and I wait. And finally they hit me and they go, you should have an email with my send or whatever. And I'm like, it should be in my fucking Venmo. So I go and look at my email, and I got this email, or I got two emails. And one of them, where is it at here? Oh, here we go. Yeah, one of them says, you've got $737 from this person for iPhone, transfer date and amount. And it's basically saying, that your money will be available after your shipping information is received to prevent any fraudulent activity. It might take a few hours for this payment to appear in your activity page. And it has like all the transaction details. It basically says wherever you're shipping it from. It looks very legit, you know. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay, I've never heard of that. And I almost went right into it, and then I just stopped for a second, and I went, I've never heard of Venmo having this feature where you could park the money. I've never heard of it. Not saying it doesn't exist, but there's always been kind of some red flags. But I mean, look at that email, man. Like it looks fairly legit. But the only thing is the header of it where it says Venmo is like a little fuzzy. It's not super clear. And then at the bottom, the big red flag is the links at the bottom where you can click on their address, or there was something else down there. They're highlighted. They're hyperlinks, but they don't do it. Like it doesn't do anything when you tap them. And I was like, oh, that's a red flag right there.
I've never seen anything like this.
Because I just sent somebody some money earlier in the day, and I got an email from Venmo, and those links on the bottom work.
Oh,
like the one where you do PayPal, it takes you to PayPal's licensures, and then the one for their address. These don't do shit. And I was like, you son of a bitch. So then they started getting pushy. Oh, the name on their Facebook account and the name of the person that it was being shipped to were different. And then they got pushy. They were like, you must have received the confirmation email regarding my payment transfer from Venmo. And then I was busy doing shit at home. And then they were like, hello, ? Are you trying to ignore my text? Like, got pushy. And I'm like, all right, asshole. So I said no, but I'm going to go ahead and cancel this deal. I said that I will only send upon receipt of the funds. My original plan was to do a person-to-person transaction. That email you sent me looks to be a scam. And they have never fucking responded since.
Yeah.
So they almost fucking took me. Like, I'm glad I fucking caught that shit.
Yeah.
So just be careful out there, people, man. There's some assholes.
Yeah, quick thing I didn't drop about Antigua that I meant to say was the first place we went to when I got there was this little beachside grill called Casanova's. And like US dollars aren't the main currency there. It's EC, which is like Eastern Caribbean dollar.
Right.
And I'm a bartender, so I have cash all the time. And I thought that I had put all my cash together in like one stack. You know what I mean?
Right.
But really I had just bartended 2 nights in a row, hadn't touched the cash from the night before, had like another $30 in there.
Right.
So we went up to the register, ordered our food. He didn't make us pay, but I did pull out my wallet to pay. Mm-hmm. And I guess I dropped like $30 on the ground.
American.
Yeah. And one of the island dudes was like, hey, somebody dropped this. The guy immediately knew. He knew I came from the airport and was like, hey man, you probably dropped this. I grabbed it. And then this other dude speaks up from the back. And he is like a white guy, like looks, like he could have came from the States at some point. And was like, oh, I think that was mine. So I look at my wallet. I'm like, there's no reason I had 2 stacks.
Right.
And then I was just like, this is probably his, and gave it to him. And then he fled the scene like that.
He rolled.
Ripped and roared out of there quick for $30.
Yeah. Big score.
And,
do you remember what the exchange rate was for how many ECU for the dollar? Because I guarantee it's got to be like Jamaica where it's like 50 to 1.
Yeah, it's $1 is worth 0.37 EC. So basically $50, 50 EC is 20 USD.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I got you.
50 EC is 20 USD. So
it's almost 30, a 1 for 2 type.
30 is like $65. He got me for, or $70.
Basically, you almost get two of theirs for one of ours, essentially.
A little less. Yeah. Right. But I mean, he just got me. That's was
actually
like,
not bad. That's not a bad exchange rate.
It was, everything was cheap as shit there.
I'm telling you, like Jamaica was, it was like, this was years ago. It was like 50J to the dollar.
Wow.
50 to, that was a long time ago. It was I don't know, the dollar fucking sucks now, so maybe it's less. Who knows? Yeah,
but he saw me from a mile away.
He's like, sucker.
He got me.
He got you good.
And I really just thought that I had it all together, and nope. He
You probably
Got
watched
me.
it drop right out of your pocket or hand or wallet or whatever.
Well, that was the thing, was it didn't happen like that. It didn't happen really fast. Like, the guy that picked it up and found it didn't put it in his pocket.
Yeah.
And he just, when he heard it happening, just like thought, oh, I can get this.
That's amazing.
And I let it happen.
Well, I mean, he apparently needed it more than you did.
Yeah, I
I
survived.
mean, if it was like $100, I'd have been like, really, dude? You dropped the $100?
Yeah, 100 US.
Really? Yeah. Well, I don't have a good transition for that, but we finished the Ozarks. Speaking of laundering money, laundering money,
Yeah.
drug money, all that stuff.
That's a good show.
Yeah, have you watched the whole thing?
Not part 2.
Whew, man, it's good. It's insane.
I'm sweating thinking about it.
It gives good closure. I'm not going to ruin anything. I think it gives good closure at the end. I think that was the part I had the most anxiety about. I was like, this motherfucker better give some closure.
So it's like the finale. Like, it's over after this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
However, my opinion is it is set up for a spinoff. I think there's a potential to do a spinoff of it. It's not going to be like Ozarks continues, but I definitely sense there's a chance for a spinoff.
Got it.
But yeah, dude, really big fucking things happen. It's really fucking crazy. It's really fucking crazy. So, yeah, you got to get on that so you can pipe in upcoming episodes. Oh, remember a couple weeks ago after we were at the NFL draft?
At Das Beer Hall.
Yes, and we were texting back and forth, and I said something about, we've got you in the fold. And you and Stefan were like, what the fuck do you mean?
Yeah,
by
that creeped me out.
And it means like back in the organization, like you're into you're back in the fold, you're back in the action, you're back into and they actually used that in Ozarks.
Wow.
Actually said back in, he said in it, back in the fold. I don't remember, but he used it. I was like, holy shit! Holy shit! I knew I wasn't fucking crazy.
So funny. I showed my girlfriend that text when I first got it, and she was like, "Did you guys really go to Das Beer Hall?" She was like, "What's the fold? What were you guys really doing?"
I was like, I'm not that old. I guess I'm not fucking old. Oh, so yeah, yeah, we're just going down this drugs and just murder and just horrible things. So we had to pick up on the Better Call Saul season 6. Stefan gave me a lot of shit for having not started it because I was the one that actually got him into it. He was very skeptical of it. I like to take credit for this because we're all Breaking Bad. And I told him Better Call Saul. Didn't want to believe me, and he is hooked because it's damn good.
Never watched either.
Oh. You haven't watched either of them?
Neither of them.
You might be out of the fold, dude. You might be out of the fold. Yeah, season 6 is really good. I hate this shit because they used to do it so you could just binge the fuck out of it, but now they've learned. Oh, well, then people will just they'll pay for the service for a month binge and then cancel. Versus we can keep them for a couple of months if we release it on a weekly basis. So there was, I want to say, like 5 episodes stacked up, and we just hammered them away over 2 nights. And the last episode we watched, there was 1 left. I said, no, we cannot watch it because they're like a Lay's potato chip. You can't just watch one. You can't just eat one.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for this week's episode to release so we can just like bang 2 out. Because you watch the end, you're just like, I gotta know what's gonna happen next. And it's funny because Better Call Saul is like a prequel, I guess. Yeah. To Breaking Bad. So it's like we know everything that comes next, except for this. I mean, this storyline is like woven into Breaking Bad. So I don't know. It's like we know what I don't know. It's crazy how.
So Better Call Saul, like the timeline runs parallel with Breaking Bad.
It kind of overlaps a little bit. Like we're getting to that point where the storylines are going to overlap just a touch.
Yeah.
But the character Saul Goodman is the attorney,
Right?
That is heavily involved in all of it in Breaking Bad, and it's the story of where he came from and came to be in that place. And like the crazy shit that he has dealt with, and how like the drug dealers and the cartel and how they were there obviously before Jesse and Walt. So it's incredible how they've done it. And they do a lot of that on episodes where they'll show you the end of it at the beginning, but you're still in suspense through the whole episode. You're like, I know how this kind of ends for the most part. Like I got to see a glimpse of it. So it's nuts. It's nuts. Got to get into that, dude. Oh, you got to get into it. I'm torn. If you were to start that, I'm torn on if you just watch Better Call Saul all the way through.
And not watch Breaking Bad?
Not watch Breaking Bad first. Because they're both done incredibly amazing. And they're done the same. I mean, they're done in the same, through the same kind of directed style and writing style. It's the same guy. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but that would be cool, I think, to watch Better Call Saul from the beginning, because you're going to get glimpses into Breaking Bad, but you're not really going to know. That'd be fun.
I've only seen like 2 or 3 episodes of Breaking Bad just when other people have them. I just remember one where like the body falls through the ceiling in the bathtub.
Yep.
Is that like is that like the middle of the show, beginning?
Oh God, no! That's got to be first season.
First season, yeah.
It's got to be first, maybe second season, like very early. But yeah, that's early on. Oh God, I've watched that series twice.
Wow,
all the way through, and then I've also just kind of watched it randomly, just like I feel like watching some Breaking Bad. Like it's just so good, so good. But it's like Ozarks. Like you'll have like a fucking knot in your stomach while you're watching it, because it's just so intense, and you're just like, how is this fucking happening? So I just saw an ad for The Boys, and watched the trailer today, and boy, does it look good. Pun intended. You've seen the first 2 seasons.
Yep.
Yes.
And I hate superhero stuff. Do not do Marvel.
Right.
Don't do any, the other one. And that show is so badass. Like it's just like a more realistic drama version of what would happen if people had superpowers.
Yeah. Oh, dude. When I first started watching it, I was like you. I was like, I'm just, more superhero shit. What the fuck? How many more superhero things?
Yeah.
And I watched like the first, it wasn't even 10 minutes.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is dark.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Dark when she just vaporizes and just holding her hands. Don't want to spoil that one. But it was season 1, the first episode. If you haven't seen it yet,
go watch it.
Get on it. Yeah, that opening scene too. She says something to him. Oh, I'm gonna fuck that up. It was a sexual comment or something. Oh, I fucked that up. I should have had that thought better played out. I have to come back around to it. But that line had me when she made a comment to him. He's like, I don't think you mean that. Oh, yeah. I also saw a video recently here of, I've always been a Dane Cook fan. And he kind of went through a period where he was accused of stealing jokes. And I remember hearing it, and I was like, there's no fucking way. That guy is so unique in his own way that I didn't believe it. And I want to say that obviously was a false accusation, which is one hell of an accusation to make. But I'd never heard that he did a podcast on Tom Segura's podcast, and his older brother, was a half brother, stole it was like $10-20 million from him. He was in charge of all his finances. Like he brought him in as his partner, and Dane just trusted him holy, never questioned, whatever. And went to go buy a house, and the bank was like, you don't have any money. And he was like, excuse me, there should be millions of dollars there. And they're like, Mr. Cook, we're really sorry, but yeah, there's no money here.
Wow.
Gone. So it's kind of a serendipitous story, not to ruin it, but he basically brought his half-brother out of, he worked as a corrections officer at a prison, and ultimately put him in that prison as an inmate for many a different federal felony charges, from embezzlement and laundering and horrible things. And I got a lot of respect for Dane Cook. I have more respect for him now because he basically was like, because they asked him, like, what did he do with the money? He's like, he just kind of like squirreled it away. And he's like, I got a call from the IRS or the FBI, and he's like, yeah, Mr. Cook, we found $800,000 in the wall at his house. And he's just like, cool, there's, $800,000 and $10 million. So it's a start. So the small amounts that he was getting back, what he did is he started renting stadiums and arenas on his own dime and started a tour. And it was the comeback tour. And he was like, my fans basically saved my life because they bought tickets, their hard-earned money, to come to my shows, which he was getting all of the money for because it was all him. I mean, he was taking all of the risk, which I have a lot of respect for. I mean, that's essentially what we do is we when we do our shows, we're taking a lot of risk on in hopes that people will buy tickets and we'll get a return on that investment, if you will.
It says here they traced him down for stealing $12 million. But could have been upwards of $20 to $25 million that he actually embezzled.
Right, yeah, that they could.
That's a lot of dough.
Oh shit.
That's a lot of cash. And he was getting paid 12 to 15 grand a month and probably all expenses paid. Like, what are you doing?
12 grand a month. It had to have been a pretty easy job, I mean, it's
the
crazy.
Tickets were selling themselves. It's not like he was
right. I mean, he was just managing his business, the books. Like,
you ready for What's Your Point?
Yeah, let's do some What's Your Point.
So this question is from Schlegel Monster 42069.
Sounds
He's
crazy.
asking, which of your comedian peers would you least like to date your sister?
Ooh, least like to date my sister. There's a lot of options there. That's tough.
Yeah, so one of the guys or gals that you do with Big Time in Comedy, would you least like to date your sister?
I mean, as far as who I like, I was going to say Mila Simon. But I actually kind of would think that would be fun and the reason is why we did our first show at the Cambridge Elks, and I don't remember when it was. The next show after that, Mila was like, "I was feeling really awkward around your sister and her boyfriend because your sister's boyfriend." And I was like, "Oh, Scott, he's a nice guy." He's like, "Yeah, Scott, that's the one." He goes, he came up to me and he was like, "Man, you're a really good looking dude." And your sister was like, yeah, he is. And he was like, I felt like they were going to take me home with me or with them. And I'm like, I don't want to know any of this. This is my sister and her boyfriend we're talking about here. She's like, I felt like a piece of meat. And I'm like, well, you look like a piece of meat. So that's my backstory on that one. So we'll just go with Mila.
I don't know how we got there, but there's a guy named Nona Jill.
Nona Jill.
Might be related to Jonah Hill. I don't know. He wants to know, what is the worst part of having Stefan as your friend?
Oh, God. I'm very organized and very, like, I like to get shit done. I don't like things to be last minute. And that's how he fucking does his life. Everything's last minute. He's just all calm about it, and I'm like freaking out. He's like, just calm down, which makes me not want to calm down. Yeah, he's so, and that's the thing. He's so unorganized in life for the most part. But then he gets on stage, and I'm like, how the fuck are you so organized enough to be able to do what you do up there so well? Like, you got to have shit very organized in your brain to be able to do like crowd work. Particularly doing crowd work just blows my mind. I'm super organized, very, prepared, and then I get on stage and I can't do what he does. Love him to death, but man, it's frustrating.
So last question.
All right.
This comes from viewer Sleepy Joe 46.
Okay.
What is your opinion on the current economic inflation?
This, ladies and gentlemen, has been completely unextraordinary.
This is the League of Unextraordinary Gentlemen.